This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the one, the only, Brandon Swanson.
Hey.
And we are back for the Primetime Podcast here on Most Valuable Podcast, your one-stop shop for college sports news and analysis. Well, really, I should say college football, because that's the mode we're in right now. I have a jam-packed show for you guys. We're going to be talking Notre Dame and their playoff hopes. We're going to be talking about Penn State, Ohio State, and the big matchup coming up for Penn State. And I got some tweets to read during that one. And then we're going to end the show NFL draft style, looking at Sam Darnold. And is he the top quarterback? Should he stay at USC? I don't know which way we're going to go with it. You'll have to wait and find out with us. And then at the end, we will make our picks, as always, for I think it's week 9. It's
week 9.
Ocho Niente, right? Niente? Nueve. See, that's you got my back, B. I said it and I went, that's not right. I don't think that's right. Numero nueve for the weeks that we are in. But Brandon, we are going to start the podcast with none other than your second favorite team. I'm saying second favorite because I don't care how you have them ordered in your head. In my head, you're a Roll Tide fan before you're a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan. The Fighting Irish getting the big win this past weekend over the USC Trojans, which, I'm sorry, kiss of death, you're done with 2 losses now. Really, I shouldn't say that because now they'll come back and make the playoff, but I think you're done and not going to make the playoff at this point. I want to ask you, though, for Notre Dame's side, I'm just going to get right to it, be frank with you like I always am. Is ND a playoff team now? Like, what are their chances to make the college football playoff, and will they make the college football playoff?
Well, Notre Dame looks really good right now. They certainly have made strides from where they were last season. Mm-hmm. That's very blatantly obvious. Things are going better. Their defense looks better. Their offense is explosive. They have so many weapons. Brandon Wimbush has done great things for this offense.
Remember when we talked about him during the offseason? Can he turn this whole thing around? Looks like he has. I mean, only 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but sometimes you don't have to do a lot to turn something around.
Well, see, it's just the fact that he not only you said that, and those are his stats through the air. And I know that people sometimes will say, oh, well, it's just easy to go through and talk about stats. Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, It is easy, but it's also, I think, important to be able to show he's not just a stat guy through the air. Too. He does it on the ground. He has 10 touchdowns on the ground. But how about Josh Adams? Josh Adams has been electrifying for this Notre Dame offense. And those two guys are such a tandem at quarterback and running back for this team. It's been really exciting to watch. And then you also look at Equanimous St. Brown. He's been a favorite target for Wimbush with 18 catches on the season, leads the team in catches there. But this has been, a team that's had a lot of life, but defensively, that's what I want to say for Notre Dame. Their strides defensively, how far they've come from last season, the amount of points that they gave up each and every game, playing teams like Syracuse. And I understand what Syracuse has done this season, but you look at last year's Syracuse team, nothing special. You look at Duke's team last year. Notre Dame should not be losing, in my opinion, to a team like Duke. That's not the type of team that you should be losing to. But then again, it's college football, and there are those upsets. But I just remember being at that Notre Dame-Duke game last season at Notre Dame. No excuse. Inexcusable why Notre Dame should lose the way they did, give up so many points defensively.
And you were upset after that one last year, like audibly and visible, obviously audibly because you're talking on the podcast, but even the week after, I remember making some fun at you about that game because you were there and watched them play so poorly.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad, but that's where you look at how terrible last season was and how many strides have been made to get to this season. But part of it, I think, too, things changed. New guys in there, coordinator and new guys, new life is in there now, and I think that's a good thing. That's certainly a good thing. You're not doing this. Okay, you're going to be quarterback for this week and for these quarters, and then you'll be quarterback for this quarter and maybe these games, and that's not happening right now. Brandon Wimbush is the guy when healthy, and that's important. But going back to your original question that you asked, Is Notre Dame a playoff team?
Will they make the playoff this season?
Will they make the playoff this season? My answer is no. My answer is no, because there's too many good teams at the top that don't look like they're going to lose any games, and they belong to a conference. We've had this discussion before. Notre Dame is an independent. They need one day to find a conference. That's going to be important for them. They need to find a Power 5 conference. That's number one, but that's not necessarily, the thing that's going to get them to a playoff. They obviously still need to play well, but I think number one is find that conference first. And then you have to play well. And then you have to compete well against your conference and win games within there. And you've got to, they've been able to win some games. The USC, they're not the USC of last year. We've seen that. We've seen that now multiple times. But they were still number 11 ranked USC. And you still had to play the game. As we hear so many times, you have to go out there. You have to
play to win the game.
You have to go out there and you have to do that. But then when you look at teams above Notre Dame, Alabama doesn't look like they're going to lose. Penn State, if they beat Ohio State this weekend, they're not losing another game in the regular season. Georgia looks like they're not going to lose. TCU, they've been super strong. Wisconsin, they've been super strong. May not lose a game in the regular season. And then Ohio State with just one loss. Now, if things are reversed, they beat Penn State this weekend. I don't think they'll lose another game this season. Clemson, don't think they'll lose another game this season. Don't think. But they could. And then you've got Miami, 6-0. Miami's played some very interesting, dramatic games, but they found a way to win them all. All those teams are in front of Notre Dame. Notre Dame 6-1. They have the one loss. They're 6-1. They could as easily be thrown into the conversation with Ohio State and Clemson. But there's still 8 teams in front of them. And if any and of those teams, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 0-loss teams in front of them. I just think that with some of those 0-loss teams, they may not lose. Some of them may. I will throw out there, Alabama, I don't think loses again regular season.
I think they go to the national championship.
Georgia, I don't think loses again regular season. The only loss I could see for Georgia is the SEC championship game, and it would be to Alabama. So that's where I'm finding it hard to think that Notre Dame is going to be able to jump all of these teams and find their way into the top 4.
And before I say what I'm going to say, my answer is no. However, I didn't expect the segment to go along like this. I didn't expect for myself, who, if you guys know who I am, know who I
You're Ricky Widmer.
Who I like and who I hate, I can't stand Notre Dame. I will root against Notre Dame. They are like the New York Yankees to me, even though I like this new age Yankee and not the old Yankees. They are like my New York Yankees. I hate Notre Dame. However, this year alone, the conference thing is a topic for another day. I'm with you. They should join a conference. I would be more inclined to have them in the Big Ten, but like I said, topic for another day. This year, though, I don't think that'll hurt them. And although I said no, I don't think they will, they've got a pretty good shot to make the playoff. And the reason being, just looking at the rankings first, like you said, Alabama, let's just, for the sake of argument, they're going to be in. They're going to be number 1. How they've played this season, number 1 team hands down. I thought about this leaving my house for work today. This has been a weird year, or it's felt like a weird year, where it's like Alabama's just over here kind of playing, and everyone else is seems like they're playing to who they're going to play
Alabama
against.
has their own sandbox. They don't have to share it with anybody, and everybody else is trying to fight for space in the sandbox.
It feels weird. Although, like many people might say, Ricky, that's how it used to be. It just feels weird that Alabama's over here and then everyone else is fighting for their playoff lives. Penn State, like Big Ten now. Penn State, Ohio State, Wisconsin. One of those 3 teams, maybe Michigan State, who's down there at 16, depending how things play out, could jump up, whoever gets the conference championship. But right now, for the sake of argument, Penn State, Ohio State, almost said Oklahoma State, Wisconsin. They're going to beat each other up. One team's going to come out on top. Okay, there's probably another that's in. Georgia, good thing for Notre Dame that they got to probably play Alabama. They got to play Florida this weekend, who Yes, I expect them to beat the Florida Skaters. However, could be a tough game. They're probably not going to beat Alabama. That's what I would think right now. Good thing for Notre Dame. Then you look at TCU. Do you have confidence in the Big 12? And I know that TCU is the one team, if the Big 12 is going to be in the playoff, TCU is the team you got to ride on. Do you expect them to get through the gauntlet of the rest of their schedule? Yes or no? That's another team that could fall. Then it comes to the ACC. And the good thing for ND is Clemson's already lost a game, and NC State currently holds the number 1 spot in that division, in that side of the ACC. And another good for ND, they play that Wolfpack team this upcoming week. So they can beat North Carolina State, hypothetically, will not affect their conference ranking, and NC State still stays ahead of Clemson. Let's say, for the sake of argument, Clemson does finish with let's say they finish above NC, even though NC wins the ACC. Then you have Notre Dame, and you come down to it, and you go, yeah, you know what? We have one loss. They have one loss. However, neither of us have conference championships. Oh, wait, by the way, our loss was to Georgia, who Georgia's only loss would be, hypothetically, to Alabama, while Clemson lost to Syracuse. That's the thing that Notre Dame has in front of them. And then the second thing I was looking at is their schedule. The thing is, and this is the reason why I say no, like everything in the rankings fades out and fits perfectly for yes, ND can make the playoff. It's their schedule that says no. Because, spoiler alert, Wolfpack beat them this weekend, and then Stanford beats them on the road to end the year. Those are the 2 losses. I think they can beat Miami, because Miami's won some pretty close games. ND would have to stay in that. They wouldn't be able to lose like they lost. Oh, yeah, that Georgia loss was only by 1 point, by the way. 1 point to the team that's now the 3rd-ranked team in the nation. That's the reason why I think they won't get in, though. Losses to NC State this weekend and Stanford to end the year. That will be the demise, not about who's ahead of them in the rankings right now.
I could say yes and no to that. But I think that part of it is because those teams above them in the rankings, there may not be much movement. That's what I'm saying. So if there's no movement and you keep playing well, they keep playing well, that's great. But you end the season then at number 9. Number 9, number 8, number 7, number 6, number 5 doesn't matter. You didn't make it in.
See, and that's why
you have a nice bowl game. You go to the Rose Bowl. It's cute, but you don't get into the playoffs. That's what I'm saying.
And that's where I disagree. And that's where I disagree, because right now, let's just go one up. So number 8, Miami. ND can knock them off. If ND knocks them off, ND will be ranked hypothetically ahead of them, I would presume.
Yes.
Clemson's interesting because we don't know where, like, when it comes to final ranking wise, how are they going to be ranked if they don't win the ACC or even have a shot to win the ACC if NC State goes ahead and Clemson, wins that side.
And Clemson, again, just looking ahead, they've got Georgia Tech coming up this weekend.
Then NC State.
They've got NC State. Florida State should be a win. Citadel should be a win. South Carolina should be a win. So I'm thinking the Clemson Tigers, I think they end up getting out probably with only one loss. Well,
and most people too, but the big one for me with them is that NC State game.
Sure. Yeah,
however, the thing that could happen is if NC State beats them and wins the conference, do those two teams switch? Where it's like, great, now we've got NC State ahead of us. However, when it comes to playoff rankings, if Notre Dame can get that done this week, they can say, yeah, they won the ACC, but we beat them. We beat that team. So why should we be ranked lower than them in the college football rankings? Then the Big Ten, I'm sorry, pick 2 of them, they're falling, because 2 of those 3 teams are going to lose. Either one of them this weekend, ND's probably rooting for Penn State because Ohio State's the lower one. Then I would obviously root for Penn State again because you don't want a situation of, oh, wait, Penn State lost by 3. They fell, but they fell just above us. So that's why I would root for Penn State to win out. Then at that point, you're basically sitting there with the top 4 we have right now. Georgia is going to, you just got to hope Georgia gets blown out by Alabama and that the Big 12 kind of beats itself up, and you could be sitting pretty at number 4. It lines up for them. Will it? No, because I'm expecting the Wolfpack and the Cardinal to upend the Irish in their second half of the year.
Well, I just don't know if Notre Dame, they're good. Mm-hmm. They're good. And I don't want to take anything away from them at all. They played really tough against a Georgia team that they could have, and some people certainly would say should have beaten.
If they beat that team, we're having a totally different conversation.
It's a completely different conversation.
They're probably top 4, maybe even top 6.
Again, you beat that USC team that was number 11, but an overrated number 11, maybe in the eyes of some, but just an underperforming, I would say, number 11 team.
You're talking about this past week.
This past week with USC, who they played. They're going to play a very good Miami team. Again, a Miami team that's had a lot of drama,
and that one's on the road
in terms of how they've won their games and how long it's taken them to win their games and finally come from behind and get the W. You will play a Stanford team that has one of the best running backs in the game right now, and then you play an NC State game this weekend that's going to be very, very good, and a Wolfpack team that is very, very hyped. They have so much energy, they have so much talent, and they're finally wanting people to start talking about them.
Who you've picked a couple of times on this podcast.
Instead of just the Louisvilles and the Clemsons of the ACC. I'm with you. I think that Notre Dame doesn't, as good as they've been, all those games, they will lose one of them. Those 3, they'll lose one of them. That will kind of count them out, and they probably won't be in the discussion going forward. Will they have a nice bowl game? They will. But they will not be in the discussion of a playoff this season. But I still think that the body of work, sound like the committee.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in 2 weeks.
That has been very good for Notre Dame. They've done well to this point, and I think that they'll end up finishing strong. But there's one of those 3 games of ranked opponents remaining. They will lose.
And that's the thing. They have to stay perfect the rest of the year in order to make the playoffs. And the thing that though helps them that we did not mention, that September 23rd win in East Lansing, at this point, looking a lot better than it was. That was an unranked Michigan State team. Now that is a Michigan State team that is ranked 16th, and some people think could even win the Big Ten East. So, I mean, that win even looks a little better. But I want to turn it on to you guys. You guys let us know, will ND make the playoff? And if it's yes, tell us why. If it's no, let us know why. Me and Brandon love having these conversations back and forth, but it's you guys. When we infuse you into the conversation, that's what we really like, whether it's in the comment section or on Twitter. Let us know what you guys think.